Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
It's great to be back.
Yeah, today we're going to be talking about something that's pretty foundational to well-being,
Okay.
and that's the connection between our mental and physical health.
That's a huge topic.
It really is, and I think it's something that we often kind of compartmentalize.
Yeah, we like to think of them as separate.
Right, exactly. Say, oh, this is a physical problem, or this is a mental or emotional issue.
Right.
But the reality is they're so interconnected.
Oh, absolutely.
And so to kind of get us in that mindset, I want to just ask you a question to start off with.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed that when you're super stressed out, like you've got a ton on your plate, you might suddenly get a headache?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Or your stomach starts to feel weird?
Oh, it's the worst.
Right. Or maybe the other way around, when you're physically not feeling well, like you've got the flu, you're more likely to feel kind of down or anxious?
That's like a double whammy.
It is, and that's not just a coincidence.
No, not at all.
It's actually a really clear sign that our minds and bodies are constantly influencing each other.
Like a two-way street.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to explore in this deep dive.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So we're going to delve into how the mind and body communicate,
Okay.
the science behind stress and how it impacts us, the ways mental health shows up physically, and even how we can use our bodies to heal our minds.
Okay, this is going to be fascinating.
Yeah. And ultimately, we want to walk away with practical ways to take care of both our mental and physical health.
Because they are a system.
Exactly. A unified system.
One system, not two.
I like that. So really what we're trying to do is move beyond this idea that the mind and body are separate.
Yeah, it's an artificial divide.
It is. And modern medicine, while incredibly advanced, often still categorizes things as either mental or physical.
Right.
But when you look at the underlying biology, it becomes clear that this separation isn't really accurate.
It's more for convenience.
It's a way to kind of organize information, but it doesn't reflect how we actually function.
It's like trying to understand a car by only looking at the engine.
Perfect analogy, because you need all the parts working together.
Exactly.
And it's interesting how deeply ingrained this idea of separation has become.
For sure.
How many times have we heard that phrase, it's all in your head?
Oh, yeah. Countless times.
And it's often used to dismiss someone's experience.
Right, like their feelings aren't valid.
Exactly. But the thing is, everything is processed in our heads.
Literally.
Right? Our brains are constantly receiving and sending signals throughout our entire bodies.
So it's not just in your head, it's everywhere.
Exactly. And I think when we start paying attention, we can actually notice these connections in our own lives.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Think about when you get anxious. What happens physically?
Well, my heart starts racing.
Yep. Your heart starts racing. You might feel short of breath.
Yeah, I get tense.
Your muscles tense up. Maybe you start to sweat.
Yeah, it's like my body goes into overdrive.
And that's not just a feeling. That's your nervous system physically reacting to what your mind is perceiving as a threat.
Right, fight or flight.
Exactly. Or think about grief. There's often this feeling of just deep exhaustion.
Yeah, that heavy feeling.
Right. You feel heavy. Your body aches. You might have no energy.
It's like your body is mirroring the emotional pain.
It really is. And that brings us to one of the key players in this mind-body connection.
Okay.
Stress.
Everyone's favorite topic.
Right. Well, the thing is, stress is actually a normal and healthy response.
In small doses.
Exactly. When we encounter a stressful situation, our brains release a hormone called cortisol.
Cortisol, the stress hormone.
Right. And in the short term, cortisol is actually helpful.
How so?
Well, it sharpens our focus. It gives us a burst of energy so we can deal with whatever challenge we're facing.
Like a superpower.
In a way, it is. It's that classic fight or flight response kicking in to help us survive.
Makes sense.
But the problem is when that stress becomes chronic.
Okay.
When those cortisol levels stay elevated for prolonged periods.
Like when you have a super stressful job or you're going through a difficult time.
Exactly. And that's when things start to go downhill.
So what happens then?
Well, long-term exposure to elevated cortisol can have some pretty negative effects throughout our bodies.
Okay, like what?
Well, one of the biggest things is increased inflammation.
Inflammation, that's a buzzword these days.
It is, and for good reason, because chronic inflammation is linked to so many health problems.
Like what kind of problems?
Well, everything from heart disease to cancer to autoimmune diseases.
Wow. So stress can actually contribute to serious illnesses.
It can, and it also weakens our immune system, making us more susceptible to infections.
Oh, that makes sense. I always get sick when I'm stressed.
Yeah, we hear that a lot, and it can also mess with our sleep.
Oh, sleep is so important.
It is, and when we're chronically stressed, we often either can't fall asleep or we don't sleep well.
Right. I toss and turn all night.
And then we wake up feeling exhausted.
And even more stressed.
Exactly. It's a vicious cycle.
It really is.
And it can also lead to digestive issues.
Oh, yeah, like IBS.
Exactly. And even high blood pressure.
So stress is basically like a slow poison.
It can be if it's not managed.
This is making me want to go on vacation.
I hear you, but before we do that, let's talk a little bit more about this connection between our nervous system and our immune system,
Okay.
because it's really at the heart of how stress impacts our physical health.
So how do they communicate?
Well, they're constantly sending signals back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
and when we're stressed out, our nervous system basically puts our immune system on high alert,
Okay.
which is helpful in the short term, but if it goes on for too long, it can actually start to backfire.
How so?
Well, our immune system can become overactive and start attacking healthy tissues.
Which leads to those autoimmune diseases you mentioned.
Exactly. And it can also make us more vulnerable to infections because our immune system is basically exhausted from being in overdrive all the time.
Wow, so it's like our body's defense system turns against us.
In a way, it can, and this is why managing stress is so important for our overall health.
Absolutely, we need to give our bodies a break.
We do, and it's not just those big life stressors that can have an impact.
What do you mean?
Well, even everyday things like traffic jams or deadlines at work,
Oh yeah, those little things add up.
they all contribute to our overall stress load, and if we're not careful, it can really start to wear us down.
Okay, so what can we do about it?
Well, that's what we're going to talk about later on, but first I want to shift gears a little bit
Okay.
and talk specifically about how mental health conditions like anxiety and depression can show up physically.
Oh yeah, that's important.
It is, because sometimes we might dismiss these symptoms as just being in our heads,
Right.
but they have very real physical counterparts.
So let's start with anxiety.
Okay, so when someone is experiencing anxiety,
Hmm.
it's not just about feeling worried or nervous.
Right. There's more to it.
It can manifest physically in a lot of different ways.
Like what?
Well, one of the most common is a feeling of tightness in the chest.
Oh yeah, like you can't breathe.
Exactly, and that often comes with shortness of breath.
Makes sense.
And it can also lead to digestive problems.
Like nausea?
Yeah, nausea, stomach cramps, diarrhea, constipation.
Ugh, that's awful.
It is, and a lot of people with anxiety also experience headaches.
Tension headaches.
Right? Often tension headaches or migraines.
And what about muscle tension?
Oh, yeah. Muscle tension is a huge one. People with anxiety often carry a lot of tension in their shoulders, neck, and back.
I can relate to that.
And sometimes that tension can even lead to jaw pain from clenching their teeth.
Wow. So it really affects the whole body.
It does. And some people also experience restlessness.
Like they can't sit still.
Exactly. Or they feel like they have to be constantly moving.
Yeah, that nervous energy.
Right. And then on the other hand, some people experience fatigue.
Like they're just wiped out.
Exactly. And that fatigue can be really debilitating.
So anxiety is a lot more than just a mental state.
It is. It's a whole body experience.
That's powerful.
And it's the same with depression.
Okay, let's talk about that.
So while depression is often associated with feelings of sadness and hopelessness,
Mm-hmm.
it also has a lot of physical symptoms.
Like what?
Well, one of the most common is fatigue.
That overwhelming tiredness.
Right. And it's not the kind of fatigue that goes away after a good night's sleep.
It's deeper than that.
It is. It's a persistent lack of energy that can make even simple tasks feel overwhelming.
I can see how that would be debilitating.
It is. And depression can also affect our appetite.
Some people lose their appetite completely.
Right. And others might find themselves overeating.
So it goes both ways.
It does. And it can also cause changes in our digestion.
Like constipation or diarrhea.
Exactly. And some people also experience aches and pains.
Muscle aches.
Yeah, muscle aches, joint pain, headaches.
And sleep problems are common too,
And
right?
sleep problems are common too, right?
They are. People with depression might have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, or they might sleep too much but still wake up feeling exhausted.
So depression really affects every aspect of our being. It really does, and it's important to remember that these physical symptoms are just as real and valid as the emotional ones.
Absolutely. We need to take them seriously.
We do, and we also need to remember that trauma can manifest physically as well.
Oh yeah, trauma can be really complex.
It can, and it often gets stored in our bodies.
What do you mean by stored?
Well, it can manifest as chronic pain, muscle tension, digestive issues.
So even if the traumatic event happened a long time ago, the body still remembers.
It does. It's like our bodies hold on to the memory of the trauma.
And that can show up years later.
It can, and it's why it's so important to address trauma on a physical level as well as an emotional level.
So what you're saying is if we're not feeling well physically, it could be a sign that something's going on emotionally.
It could be, and I think it's important to listen to our bodies.
Pay attention to those signals.
Exactly, because our bodies are constantly trying to communicate with us.
And sometimes those signals are subtle,
They are, and it's easy to dismiss them as just being stressed out or tired.
but they could be pointing to something deeper.
Right, and so if you're experiencing persistent physical symptoms that don't seem to have a clear explanation, it might be worth exploring whether there's some unaddressed emotional stress contributing to them.
It's like a detective game trying to figure out what our bodies are trying to tell us.
It is, and it's a journey of self-discovery.
That's a great way to put it.
Now let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
And talk about the flip side of this connection.
What do you mean?
Well, if our mental state can negatively impact our physical health,
Mm-hmm.
the amazing thing is that the reverse is also true.
You mean our bodies can heal our minds?
Exactly. And one of the key players in this process is the vagus nerve.
The vagus nerve?
Yep, it's the longest nerve in our bodies, and it connects our brain to many of our vital organs.
Like the heart and lungs.
Exactly. And the gut.
So it's like a communication highway.
It is, and it plays a crucial role in regulating our nervous system.
Okay.
So when our bodies are in a state of calm and safety,
Mm-hmm.
the vagus nerve sends signals to our brains saying everything is okay.
Like an all-clear signal.
Exactly, and this helps to reduce anxiety and promote feelings of relaxation.
So it's like our bodies can actually calm our minds.
They can, and that's why practices like deep breathing.
Oh yeah, deep breathing is so helpful.
It is, because it directly stimulates the vagus nerve.
And what about other things like yoga or meditation?
Those are great too, because they also help to regulate our nervous system.
By calm the body, we calm the mind.
Exactly, and even something as simple as a walk in nature can make a difference.
I love walking in nature.
Me too, it's so grounding.
And it helps to clear your head.
It does, and that's because being in nature helps to reduce stress hormones and boost our mood.
So taking care of our physical health is really about nurturing our mental and emotional well-being too.
It absolutely is, and to really highlight this, I want to talk about 3 foundational pillars of physical health
Okay,
that have a direct impact on our mental health.
I'm listening.
Okay, so the first one is nutrition.
Food is fuel.
It is, and you know what's really fascinating is that our gut actually plays a huge role in our mental health.
Really, how so?
Well, our gut is home to trillions of bacteria.
The gut microbiome.
Exactly, and these bacteria actually produce neurotransmitters.
Neurotransmitters, those are the chemicals that control our mood, right?
Right, and a significant amount of our serotonin, which is often called the feel-good neurotransmitter.
Wow, so our gut bacteria actually influence how happy we feel.
They do, which means that taking care of our gut health is crucial for our mental well-being.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, one of the best things we can do is eat a diet rich in whole foods.
Fruits, vegetables, whole grain.
Exactly, and fiber.
Fiber is important for digestion.
It is, and it also helps to feed those good bacteria in our gut.
Okay.
And we also want to make sure we're getting enough omega-3 fatty acids.
Those are found in fatty fish, right?
Yep, like salmon and tuna, and also in things like walnuts and flax seeds.
Okay, so those are all good for our brains.
They are, and on the flip side, we want to limit processed foods, sugar, and alcohol.
Because they can disrupt our gut microbiome.
Exactly, and that can lead to inflammation and imbalances that can contribute to anxiety and mood swings.
So what we eat really does affect how we feel.
It absolutely does. And now let's talk about the second pillar of physical health.
Which is...
Sleep is my favorite.
Mine too. And we all know that we don't function well when we're sleep deprived.
We get grumpy.
We do, but the impact of sleep goes far beyond just feeling tired.
Oh, yeah.
It actually affects our emotional reactivity.
What does that mean?
Well, it means that when we're sleep deprived, we're more likely to get agitated and stressed out.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely more sensitive when I'm tired.
We all are, and it also affects our ability to focus and concentrate.
Makes sense. My brain feels foggy when I don't sleep enough.
And it lowers our tolerance to stress.
So little things seem like bigger problems.
Exactly, and it's no coincidence that sleep problems are so common in people with anxiety and depression.
It's all connected. It is, and when we're not getting enough sleep, our brains simply don't have the opportunity to properly reset and regulate themselves.
So sleep is like hitting the reset button for our brains.
It is, and it's crucial for both our physical and mental health.
Okay, so we've covered nutrition and sleep.
Now let's talk about the third pillar.
I'm ready.
Movement.
Exercise.
Exactly, and we often think of exercise as being just for physical fitness.
Right, to get in shape.
But the mental health benefits of movement are huge.
Tell me more.
Well, when we exercise, our brains release endorphins.
Endorphins, those are the feel-good chemicals, right?
They are, and they have mood-boosting and pain-reducing effects.
Like a natural high.
Exactly, and exercise also helps to reduce stress hormones.
So it's like a double whammy.
It is, and it also improves our sleep.
Which we know is important for mental health.
Exactly, and it even helps to improve our cognitive function.
So it makes us smarter.
In a way it does. It helps to keep our brains sharp.
Okay, so I'm convinced I need to move more.
You do, and the good news is that it doesn't have to be intense workouts.
So even just going for walks counts.
Absolutely. Even moderate exercise like brisk walking or gardening can have a significant impact on our mental health.
That's encouraging.
It is, and the key is to find activities that you enjoy and that you can stick with.
Make it fun.
Exactly, because when we enjoy something, we're more likely to do it consistently.
Makes sense.
Now, I want to touch on something that's really exciting to me,
Okay.
and that's the growing trend towards integrative medicine.
Integrative medicine, what is that?
Well, it's basically a more holistic approach to healthcare,
Holistic meaning,
meaning that it takes into account the whole person.
not just their physical symptoms.
Right. It considers their mental, emotional, and even spiritual well-being.
So it's a more comprehensive approach.
It is, and it recognizes that all of these aspects are interconnected.
So instead of just treating the symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
integrative medicine tries to address the root cause of the problem.
Exactly, and it often combines conventional medical treatments
Like medication,
with complementary therapies.
such as,
Things like acupuncture, massage therapy, yoga, meditation.
wow, so it's like a blend of Eastern and Western medicine.
In a way it is, and it's gaining popularity because it's been shown to be really effective for a wide range of conditions.
Like what?
Well, everything from chronic pain to anxiety and depression to autoimmune diseases.
So it's not just for people with serious illnesses.
Not at all. It can be beneficial for anyone who wants to improve their overall well-being.
I'm intrigued by this integrative medicine approach.
Me too, and I think it really speaks to the power of the mind-body connection.
Yeah, it's all coming full circle.
It is. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with some practical tips
Okay.
for nurturing your own mind-body connection.
I'm all ears.
All right, so the first one is to start paying attention to your body's signals.
Like noticing how we feel physically when we're stressed.
Exactly, or when we're happy or sad.
So tuning into those subtle cues,
Yes, and one way to do this is through body scan meditation.
body scan meditation.
Yep, it's a simple practice where you just lie down or sit comfortably
Okay.
and you bring your attention to each part of your body.
Starting with your toes.
You can start with your toes or your head, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
And you just notice any sensations you're feeling.
Like warmth or tingling.
Right, or tightness or pressure.
Without judgment.
Exactly, you're just
Or
observing.
It's relaxing.
It is, and it can really help you to become more aware of how your body is feeling.
And how your emotions are showing up physically.
Exactly. And another great practice is journaling.
Journaling.
Yeah, but instead of just writing about your thoughts and feelings,
Mm.
also try to write about your physical sensations.
It's like where I'm holding tension.
Exactly, or what your stomach feels like or how your breathing is.
Okay.
This can help you to connect the dots between your mental and physical states.
And see the patterns.
Right, and it can also help you to identify any early warning signs.
That something might be off.
Exactly, and then you can take steps to address it before it becomes a bigger problem.
That's proactive.
It is, and then of course we need to make sure we're taking care of our basic physical needs.
Eating well, sleeping enough, exercising.
Exactly. Those are non-negotiables for both our physical and mental health.
And finding ways to manage stress.
Absolutely. And that might look different for everyone.
Some people might find yoga helpful, while others might prefer running.
Right. Or spending time in nature or listening to music.
So it's about finding what works for you,
It is. And it's also about being consistent.
not just doing it once in a while.
Right. It's about making self-care a regular part of your routine.
So little things every day.
Exactly. And the key is to approach it all with a sense of kindness and compassion.
Not beating ourselves up if we miss a day.
Right, because we're all human and we're all doing the best we can.
And it's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. So if you're feeling overwhelmed,
Mhm.
just start with one small thing.
Like taking a few deep breaths.
Perfect. Or going for a short walk.
Or listening to a calming song.
Exactly. Any small act of self-care can make a difference.
And over time, those small things add up.
They do, and they can have a profound impact on both our mental and physical health.
So it's worth it.
It absolutely is. So I hope this deep dive has been helpful.
Me too.
And I encourage you to start exploring this connection between your mind and body.
It's fascinating.
It is, and it's empowering.
Because it gives us more control over our health.
Exactly. And remember, your body is not your enemy.
It's our ally.
It is. It's a source of wisdom and healing.
We just need to learn how to listen to it
And trust it.
and take good care of it.
Until next time.
Be well.
And take care.
Bye, everyone.
See you next time.
See you.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.